Blake Lively is not being honest in her lawsuit. We got this from their legal counsel. This is some damning stuff against Blake.
Blake Lively recently was exposed after her lies surfaced regarding Justin Baldoni. Believe me, I can count all of them on my fingers, and it's simply nuts.
She's being annoying. He's trying to do a romantic. This is about them falling in love. Whether they like each other or not, it's called acting.
And certainly Baldoni and his lawyer aren't out here flinging allegations in the air like she did. They've got receipts, actual proof, and Blake is in some genuine danger now. So now let's really and symbolically tally all those lies of wonderful Blake.
Because what they were saying is, you fat shamed my wife. And that's another thing they allege in the Brian Friedman lawsuit, that's what they put out, that he fat shamed her.
First up, it was accusing Justin Baldoni of fat shaming her, making it sound like he was this harsh, body-obsessed director who wanted her to decrease weight for no reason. But guess what? That whole narrative crumbled apart the second Baldoni got out the receipts.
The obsessed director who wanted her.
Blake stated Baldoni discreetly phoned her personal trainer behind her back, reportedly saying she needed to drop weight before shooting. According to her, this wasn't about health, safety, or anything remotely reasonable. It was about humiliating her body. And at one point, she clearly lied that there was no such scene. Like, serious?
Or because he allegedly went to her trainer to ask how much she weighed.
Because he had to lift her in a scene.
Yes.
But here's where everything split apart. Baldoni had a genuine medical motivation for bringing this up. Turns out, he has a bulging disc in his back, which for anyone who doesn't know, is no joke. The last thing you want to do when dealing with spinal issues is raise another human being without making sure you physically can. That's why he sought out to her trainer to learn whether he could properly complete the situation without injuring himself. That's it.
And they write about how he's got this debilitating disc condition for which he was hospitalized when the movie wrapped. It's not made up, it's real. And he did need to know how much he was going to have to weigh. She lied and said that there was no scene like that.
And here's the kicker. The scene Blake claimed never existed. It was genuine. There was, in reality, a lift sequence in the movie. So not only did Baldoni have a totally solid cause to ask about it, but Blake's whole argument unraveled the second the script page revealed. She flat out lied. She fabricated a complete tale, turning what was a routine safety check into a massive controversy. And for what? Sympathy? A technique to villainize Baldoni?
That's because she had it cut.
Amazing.
There's just so much more to the story, and the media's already like self-flagellating. Oh, we were too mean to Blake. She didn't deserve the few negative things that were said about her. She's been bullied and harassed.
And it wasn't just about fat shaming. Another complaint was somewhat messier, as this time Blake went straight for the invasion of privacy card, stating Baldoni barged into her trailer uninvited while she was nursing, and utterly ignored her discomfort.
It was just a ploy to keep them
from,
and Billie Eilish's people were like, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. And it's really shitty for someone who claims to be a champion of fellow women and female artists to be doing, like, let someone else have it.
This wasn't merely some petty workplace disagreement. She twisted this into a full-blown harassment accusation, putting Baldoni under the bus as some boundary-ignoring monster. The way she presented it, you'd imagine Baldoni simply strolled, in without knocking, like a director on a power trip, utterly disregarding her personal space. This was one of the greatest bombshells in her case, a crucial aspect of her entire hostile work environment tale.
She said both men repeatedly entered her makeup trailer uninvited while she was undressed, including when she was breastfeeding. And then the hit piece had a bunch of text messages and emails between Baldoni and his PR team.
And for a time, it worked. People were upset. How could he penetrate her privacy like that? The internet reacted, rallying around Blake, dragging Baldoni through the mud, presenting him as this unprofessional, out-of-control filmmaker who had little respect for personal boundaries.
But it turns out that on like any level of examination, a huge percentage of this seems to fall apart, correct?
Yes. So Brian Friedman, in that first lawsuit against the Times, produced the text messages, and I've seen them all.
But suddenly, the whole thing burst. Because Baldoni didn't simply reject it, he gave receipts. And these weren't fuzzy, trust me bro, rejections. He had the identical text message, word-for-word proof that Blake was lying through her teeth.
So it's written there, black and white. She invited him in, and a lot of women are comfortable having someone around when they breastfeed. So it's not so weird, especially out in Hollywood, for him to assume, yeah, I guess she's fine with this because she did let him in.
So let's just pause for a second. She invited him, She straight up informed him where she was, what she was doing, and that she was available to run lines. And then, months later, this similar occurrence became converted into a lawsuit. Such, L. Baldoni wasn't invited at all. Suddenly, he was the one shoving his way in, violating bounds and making her feel violated.
She'd accused him during the filming of the movie of sexual harassment. So she's a Me Too victim, he's a villain, and all the negative press you saw about her was astroturfed.
The way she twisted it, she had no say in this, although in actuality, she had entire control over the situation from the start. She took a perfectly ordinary, 100% consensual chat, a discussion she initiated, and transformed it into some horrific, harassing scenario. She banked on no one ever seeing the texts, banking on the wrath to do the harm before the truth could catch up. But here's the thing, none of it genuinely stands up. And the worst part? The bills demonstrate that if anybody was governing the set with an iron grip, it wasn't Baldoni, it was Blake herself.
Blake Lively had actually brought in her husband, Ryan Reynolds, to help take over creative control of the film, and Baldoni wasn't showing up at press events. And then Baldoni hired Johnny Depp's crisis management and PR professional, a person named Melissa Nathan, to represent him.
Behind the scenes, Blake wasn't some hapless actor being pushed around. She was actively directing scenes herself. This wasn't one of those situations where a performer tosses in an opinion here and there. Blake was nearly calling the shots, like she was running the entire production.
The one about, he burst in on me uninvited when I was breastfeeding my child. She says we should run lines together. He's like, anytime. And she's like, come on over. I'm breastfeeding the baby in the trailer, but come on over.
She provided directions to crew personnel, repositioned persons on set, made creative judgments regarding lighting, framing, and blocking, and even directed Baldoni himself at times. This wasn't merely teaming with the director. She was utilizing the set like her personal playground. And then, the same woman who was ordering others how to do their duties subsequently turned around and reported she was being assaulted.
He's reaching in. He's not even being aggressive in it. She's pulling back a little bit there. Okay, go back to where? Inaudible. Giggles. They chuckle together. Both just... They scored again. They're just making sure the crew is watching the game, so they're not watching the game is the key here.
And if anybody feels this is an exaggeration, there's footage. Actual, undeniable video proof of Blake taking over the set like she was the one behind the camera. The complaint made it seem like she was some helpless, weak actor being forced to endure a poisoned atmosphere, but the reality? She was out here teaching the cinematographer on camera angles, guiding extras on how to move, and even giving scene direction to Baldoni himself.
I think it's more romantic.
Absolutely.
She clearly doesn't want to be there. I'm getting that vibe. I'm not going to blame that, but maybe she doesn't. I don't know what happened before this scene. I don't know. I think it's more romantic. Yeah, well, the whole montage is us talking.
Then you give them
You kiss and you give them the thing they want to see.
If Baldoni was reportedly this horrible, overpowering presence, why was Blake the one micromanaging the entire production? And then, months later, she stood in court and claimed the world she had no control over all these things. She was not done.
I think the light is behind you a little bit. That doesn't sound like she's in character. Does it sound like she's in character to you? Sounds like the immediate start of this scene is Blake Lively being Blake Lively.
According to her account, a moment during shooting escalated into something terribly wrong. She stated that when they were shooting a romantic dance routine, Baldoni moved in, brushed his kisses down her neck, and whispered, "It smells so good." She didn't simply define it as uncomfortable. She described it as terrifying, predatory, and utterly out of line. The way she presented it, Baldoni was acting as himself, not as his character, which made it much worse.
He didn't do that at all, and she's laughing and joking and brings it up. Oh, it's my spray. Do you feel my beard? No, I feel it's probably my spray tan. She brings up, and then he's being nice. Yeah, it smells good. Well, that's the body makeup. What? Like they're responding, and there's been a lot of back and forth conversation that I don't fully understand.
For a while, the allegation was enough to make people turn on Baldoni immediately. The media ran with it. The internet swelled with rage, ready to cancel him without hesitation. It fit the standard Hollywood scandal, the powerful director overstepping. Lines with a lady who had no alternative but to bear it. People believed it. They had no reason not to. Who would lie about something that thorough, right?
this footage to me doesn't line up with this at all. With this dragging his lips from her ear and down her neck. It smells so good. None of this was remotely in character or based on any dialogue, and nothing was needed because there was no sound. He didn't do that.
Except here's the problem. The entire encounter was filmed. And when the raw footage came out, Blake's entire account fell apart. The true footage from the set, the one that recorded every second of the interaction, showed something entirely different.
And there's been a lot of back and forth conversation that I don't fully understand what's the issue here. I don't. And again, one more time, I want to end on this. Slow dance. Sorry, I lost real quick. They slow dance. This is what was scripted. In the bar, patrons around them drinking, watching sports completely in their own world.
The biggest shock to Blake was the fact that the woman, who had earlier indicated she felt uncomfortable, violated, and unable to do anything about it, was truly happy and joking during the meeting. She seemed absolutely at ease, almost as if she was enjoying herself. Throughout the meeting, she was passionately engaged, laughing and making lighthearted jokes, which was in direct contrast to the suffering and sorrow she eventually described in her complaint. Blake couldn't help but question how this quick change in her tone could be justified, considering that she had made such strong claims. It left him and others in the room perplexed, questioning whether her earlier account of the incident was truly genuine. There was a clear mismatch between the method she had depicted herself after the event and the temperament she had in the time. It raised more questions than answers, raising doubt on the veracity of her charges and making it hard for Blake to grasp the situation from her perspective. His amazement further deepened when he realized that the woman's behavior in the moment was so different from the way she subsequently represented it in the complaint.
So they're slow dancing in the bar. That's what they did. I don't know. This seems strange to me. What do you guys think?
That was it. That was the whole affair. No drama, no unpleasant moments, no unusual tension at all. Just a fairly regular, harmless talk between two individuals. But somehow, Blake turned this brief discussion into one of the worst allegations in the whole case. It's honestly mind-blowing how she managed to make something so little balloon out like this. And here's the part that makes it even more unbelievable. Blake knew this footage existed. This wasn't a private chat caught in a secret moment or something that took place behind closed doors. No, this was all on record, thoroughly recorded and out there for everyone to see. There was no way it could have been misremembered or misconstrued in any form. What Blake was accusing them of just didn't make sense, especially considering the backdrop of everything that had been caught on film. There's no hiding the truth. When it's all out there for the world to see, the fact that she still tried to spin it this way, despite the apparent proof, is beyond comprehension. It's hard to grasp how she believed she could get away with it.
She, time and time again, she accuses him of doing something, which then when you hear the full context is an absolute nothing burger. She accused his producing partner of showing her pornography. She laughs and says, oh, did you get beard on me? She doesn't say, oh my God, you nuzzled me and said that I smell good. This is what she's done throughout because she turned out to be not a very nice person in the videos released last summer. Now that she's had her shot against.
And for a time, things appeared to be going smoothly. Blake was retaining her image and her following were still behind her. But once the footage surfaced, everything changed in an instant. Soon the people saw it with their own eyes. The narrative took a dramatic turn. Her credibility, which she had battled so hard to achieve, collapsed in front of her. The trust she previously had with her admirers disappeared, leaving her with the dreadful reality of confronting the implications of her actions. Rebuilding her reputation is now an almost arduous undertaking, and the harm that has been done is irreparable. The breathtaking film reveals the lies she had spoken, and no matter how hard she tries, getting back the same degree of renown and respect from her audience is a faraway dream. It's too late for a meaningful comeback, and any attempt to regain her status feels pointless. The second she was discovered, it sealed her fate, and now she's stuck struggling with the implications of her actions. But what's even more distressing is that the implications isn't merely about losing admirers or hurting her image. The genuine repercussions that Blake is facing are far more dire. The impact on her professional and personal life is far-reaching, and it's something that can't be readily addressed. But we'll get further into that in future video, so make sure you subscribe to be updated on the newest developments. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.